Okay guys, so all our valves are in now, and we're getting ready for our two gaskets. This gasket, this is the very top, right? So this is the very top of the cylinder, so I've got it upside down. This gasket will only go one way, where it lines up perfectly with all the holes and the tab. If you've got it flipped around or something else, it won't line up. So that's good to know. I'm gonna get some, I've got some gasket sealer. You can use gasket sealer. You could probably use RTV or some other type of high temperature glue or sealant. I'm just going to use some to just really tack this down to hold it in place. After that, what happens is this piece, and you can see it kind of lines up here, gets sandwiched on like that. And then this piece, this gasket goes on that, and then the whole thing gets turned upside down on top of the cylinder out in the garage. So that's where we're at. I'm probably going to seal this and get these gaskets aligned and then put it on top of the cylinder out there. I've got some bolts here that I need to just kind of clean up on the wire wheel. I stripped all the paint off of them. These are the long ones that go all the way through from the top, and then that flips over, and then they go down into the cylinder head. So I'll get those put on and torqued. I want to say, I think it might actually say in here, tells you about the oil, tells you about the care. You can take a look at the pumps, and this is, I think this is the head I've got. Yes, because there's my two that I put in. So there were different heads depending on the year and make, and you can see what those are, and whether it's a K pump or KU pump. Yeah, you can see here, this is going to go through the head, through the gasket, through the center section, through the round, into the cylinder heads. Yep. I've never gotten the cylinder broken apart here. I should try now that I've got the glue off. But I would have to make, if I do that, I'll have to make these two gaskets by hand because I didn't buy that. The set I got came with these two gaskets and the 4 valves, and it was $45 plus $5 shipping on eBay. I think I saw similar sets that you could buy from like Service Master, and they were like 60 bucks, so 10 bucks more than what I paid for mine, if you want to go that route. But what I was looking for in here, I think, if I remember, here's the parts. So you can look up the parts and find out if you've got a broken part, what you're looking for. And what's great is on some of these, it actually tells you, yeah, it'll tell you it's a 5/16 bolt, 18 by 3/4, 15 foot-pounds, so you know torque settings. That's what I said. I knew I saw torque settings in here somewhere. And then I also got, it came out with a printout of, you know, everything you need to know about this, parts for the different kinds. This is all in a PDF. You can find it on the web. It's just the guy I bought it from printed it out, which I thought was a very nice thing. And here it shows the typical setup of the pump on the compressor, which I can take a look at that and maybe make mine semi kind of match that. And then the pilot valve, if you're using a gas motor on yours. adjusting unloader pilot valve, talks about the gas engine throttle. Yeah. And yeah, some part number changes. Yeah, this is the same PDF that you can find on the web if you just Google Emglo specs. I think Emglo was bought by DeWalt, and then DeWalt spun it off or sold it to Jenny. So you'll see pumps that are that bright blue color, but now they say Jenny. I also found out the paint I wanted, they didn't have VHT, so I got DuPont, or yeah, I'll get it in the next section, but it's Old Ford Blue. It was the closest match, so it was pretty close to that. But I'll get you the part numbers on that. But now to clean up those bolts, put some gasket sealer on here and put the compressor back together. Okay, everybody. So cleaned off all the mating surfaces with just a little bit of acetone on a towel. Cleaned off the pistons. Took a little bit of Marvel Mister oil on, put a couple drops in there and swished it around the sides just so it doesn't start dry. I'm using Permatech high-tech gasket sealant. Many other things you can do. You paint it on, you put your thing down and position it. That's what I did with these. These two are already stuck on. I'm ready to paint on here, and then I'll take this, push it on, take my bolts, which I just hit with the wire wheel, and stack it all together and torque them down a bit. So that's where we're at. Okay guys, here we go. Heads on, new gasket, gasket sealer between here and here and here and here. Cleaned everything, put these back on, torqued them, cleaned them up. I did tap on this, and then I decided not to take it off because it wasn't really coming off easy, and it's like, you know, if it's not broke, I won't mess with that gasket. Same thing with, there's a gasket up here and here. I tapped on this a little bit, but nothing started to jiggle or anything, so I'm like, nah, we'll leave those alone. I don't think there's any problems there. I mean, this opens very easily to pour out the oil, and this is your inlet for the oil. And there's a full line and a low line for the oil. So yeah, I think we're just fine. I'm gonna drill out the remaining bit of that rivet for the badge. And then I'll take a wire wheel and go over this again, just clean up some of the surface rust. I'll go over the whole thing with acetone just to clean it off, and then I'll set myself up a little spray booth. This is small enough, I'm probably not gonna take down my big booth. I could do that, but yeah, I have to move stuff. I think I've got a big cardboard box that this will easily fit into. I'm gonna give it a coat or two, duplicator engine primer. So this is high heat, stands up to 500 degrees, which this easily won't go over. And then the color of paint I got, this is also duplicolor. You can kind of see here, so with the top, that's pretty darn close in my opinion. And this is also duplicolor engine paint, up to 500 degrees. So we'll hit a couple coats with that after we prime it, and then we should be good to go. I do need to get a new bolt for up here. Originally, I think these two bolts weren't there. There were some other kind of bolts that went on here, and then there was a bracket that went to the, or no, I'm sorry, this bolt was originally up here, and there was a bracket, and it helped steady the cage that the pulleys were in. I double checked everything here, and oh, here's where I read about the torque. It's only 22 to 25 pounds, so no big deal. I double checked that everything went together the right way, because it looks kind of weird, but I remember it looking like that when I took it off, and you could even see the little bit of the gasket that was there, and I'm like, I would have thought that this piece would have been flipped over or something, but then nothing lines up, so it's all put back together appropriately. I'll probably take it inside tonight. It's getting late today. It's Sunday. And I'll spray it, maybe this during the week, one evening. Give it a quick coat. It's really windy today too. So that's where we're at. Then I'll probably look at just cleaning this thing up and giving it the once over. This is a 1.5 horsepower. The original motors that were on the Emglos were black, so I might get out, scratch this down with some 220 and hit it with some black paint if I want. But the real thing here, I'm about ready. Like I said, it's been up for 2 days now, 3 days I think, with citric acid in it. And I can't really show you in the tank. You just can't see. So to see if I can save this tank. So I'm about ready to lay it on its side this way and let all the solution swish over to this side. Hopefully it won't run out those 2 holes, and let it set there for about 2 days, and then I'll probably flip it over on this side and do the same thing, just so that citric acid gets the opportunity to kill all the rust and get rid of everything on the inside. So if you've not played with citric acid before, Google it. It's really good. It's almost as good as, what's the stuff you buy? The Metal Rescue and some of those. I think there's some other things, but a majority of that I think is citric acid, maybe some phosphoric acid. But citric acid is really cheap, and it does a phenomenal job on rust. So once I empty this out, I'll just drag the tank over into the yard over here and let it out. Again, the citric acid, it doesn't hurt the grass. As a matter of fact, it kind of helps it. If your grass is low in iron, because of all the rust that's in there. So it won't burn it or kill it or anything. So it's totally biodegradable. Another thing I like about this acid. And then I'll flip it over. I found one little pinhole leak. My son actually welded up here, underneath here with my MIG welder. But there's still one itsy bitsy leak, just a drop or 2. So I'll go over it again and make sure it's good. We'll grind it down, and then I'll take that foot that I've got over there and we'll level it off and tack it and then flip it over and then weld it. Once we know it holds air, I'll probably just sand down the majority of the tank, hit it with some primer and again some more of that duplicolor over there. Probably try to save the Emglo and maybe the warning tag there. They look kind of cool, and why not? So, but then it's just a matter of putting everything back together. I might get some do a different configuration based off of one of the screenshots here that's in this document. Shows possible ways to plumb it. Yeah, so I might look at doing some of that if it doesn't cost too much. Otherwise, I'll slap it back together and make sure she holds air, and hopefully it'll last me another, 10 years or 15 years. This whole project, a $50 refurb kit. I had the aircraft stripper. The paint was $7 a can, so that's 14 bucks. I had the primer, so that would have been another $5, $7. But I had that already. So 70, 80 bucks to strip it down, refurb it, weld this up. You do want to be careful when you're welding tanks. This one is not like super thin. It's a good, solid, old school tank. If you've got one of those newer Craftsman or, the Home Depot specials, it's not worth it, guys, because when they go, they can blow out and throw shrapnel and stuff. But I'll have all the rust out of there. And I've only been working on this one pinhole where that foot was welded, and you could slowly hear it hiss. When I bought it, I knew there was a small leak. The guy told me that, but I'd never ever heard it. And just over the last 2.5 years, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can actually hear it hiss, and you know the compressor turns on more when I'm using it. So it was time to fix it up. If we can't do this, then we're going to go to plan B and start looking at Craigslist and you know, maybe score another one. I think I paid $100 for this on Craigslist. So $100, and I got in 2.5 years out of it. That's not bad. And if I can score something maybe even bigger, a 60-gallon, that'd be great, because I'd really like to get to work on this truck as soon as I finish this bike. For those of you who've been following some of my bike blogs, this is the same cafe. I've done a little bit of welding and just hit this with primer to prep it up for winter. But I'm hoping to get a lot of build time on this winter. I want to get this bike done and then maybe sell it and use the proceeds to fund new panels and tools and stuff I might need to hit this truck, because I'd like to spend some time working on the truck. But that's where we are, folks, and this is my beauty love, my little CL 350 there. She's been a great rider. I need to let the fuel out of her and get her ready for winter. It's November 1st today. Yesterday was Halloween. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll keep you updated on the air compressor.